right. Hello, everyone. I'm so excited to have everyone here for day 2 of the journey to a full-time spiritual coach, ascension coach, energy healer, whatever you would like to call yourself. So on day 1, we talked about the energetics of your business. And I think that is the most important foundational piece, because all of the other things that I'm going to talk about, like they are important as well, but your energy and the intentions behind why you're doing things, like why you want to help people, why you want to spend your time and energy doing these things, and also taking care of your physical vessel and your own personal energy, like that is all stuff that needs to come first. And that is a hard lesson that I have learned. So I wanted to save people from having to learn that lesson of these are the things that you really need to have down first. That way you don't have to have a rocky ride. So this is day 2. If you weren't here for day 1, I am recording all of these sessions. And so I'll have that available to everyone soon, all 5 days. So we're going to expand on the energetics of your business because we didn't quite get through all the slides of day 1. And then we're going to get into jump starting as a full-time coach. All right. I'll be talking a lot, so, so I wanted to record them as well. I'll be talking real fast. Okay, the energy of your business. The first one we have here is who you are spending time with. So we all know that we've heard that the top 5 people you hang out with the most, you are the culmination of them. Like, I don't think that people really put enough weight into people who are in your energy field and you listen to and you interact with. You start taking on a lot of their like behavioral patterns and their ideals and just how they interact in the world and their own realities. Like, they can overlay on your reality very heavily. And so for me, like in the past, before I was better about managing my energy, I had a lot of people that either weren't like supportive or encouraging, or maybe like weren't on the same like self-improvement journey or like self-awareness journey. And so you really need to find people that you either want to emulate or you look up to, or are on that same like self-improvement journey. Otherwise, what happens when you are a spiritual coach and an energy healer? How do I hide this bar down here? Okay, hold on 1 second. I want to see if I can hide it down here. No, it's okay. Oh, wait. Oh, no, I disappeared. Hold on. Okay, it's fine. It'll just hang out. It'll hang out down here. Okay. What was I saying? You just need to be very mindful about who you're spending your time and energy with, because when you're an energy healer, spiritual coach, and I think a lot of us have experienced this before, is that people always come to us for things. Like they always come to us because we have that skill set. We're energy healers and we like to solve problems for people. Like, I enjoy that. Like, I thoroughly enjoy helping somebody optimize their life. Like, that makes me very happy. However, a lot of times we'll have people come to us that are asking us to put band-aids on things. Like, they keep doing the same thing. And this is no like hate on anyone, because I've been here in my life too, but they'll come to you and like keep saying the same problem over and over and over again, and you keep giving them like solid advice or encouraging and supporting them, but they're not doing anything with it. They're just asking you to put an energetic band-aid on it and then just continue that. And it's very draining. But then you have to ask yourself, am I creating that? You are participating in that cycle. So like, that was me. And I speak a lot from my own experiences because it's how neurodivergent people talk. So you just have to bear with me. And I think it's very relatable. I like hearing about people's stories. But I had a ton of relationships where I had a savior complex, where I was like, well, if I help this person, then they'll love me. That is a self-worth issue and confidence and self-esteem. And so I had to really look at like, oh, I'm the one that's participating in this and allowing this to happen, because people will treat you however you let them treat you. And if you have a lot of people who are around you asking a lot of you, and you don't have anybody that's supporting you or encouraging you or lifting you up, that's where we get into burnt out land. Like, you need to have people around you that are up here lifting you up as well. And like mentors and people that know more than you, because otherwise you just stay like stuck and stagnant here. Like, we have to have people that are like a little further ahead than us just like we're that for other people as well. And so like I had a lot of people that were like complainers, and then I became complainy because I am participating in that with them. So I'm very select about the people who are inside my inner circle, like the people that I talk to and I'm very vulnerable with, and I talk about like what's going on in my life. Like I'm not saying to just like push people away and have walls and guards and stuff, but like who is into your inner circle can make or break you. You need to have very supportive people. There is a difference between somebody saying, how are you going to do that? And then being like, you're not going to. Like, to explain to me your blueprint plan, right? And then there's other people that say, how are you going to do that? What can I do to help support you? I believe in you. I don't even need to know how you're going to do it. I just know you're going to do it. Like, I love being that person for people too. And I know there's a lot in here. You don't care because you know they're going to do it. And it's like, how can I best support you? Those are two very different things. And so we need to have people around us who are dedicated, and right here, dedication to your self-improvement. They are dedicated to their own self-improvement and they are always growing. There is a difference between venting and complaining. You need to be solution-based oriented, because this is something that I have found for my own personal experience is when you start getting more, when I use the word popular, I don't mean in a teenage, like high school sense. I mean, when you start having more eyes on you and 50 or 60 people contacting you a day, when you like are blowing up on social media and stuff, like you need to be very mindful about where your time and energy is going, because you only have so much during the day. Like if you make a living out of supporting people, I'm kind of going to rant now, but if you make a living of supporting people, you have to be very mindful of where you're spending your time and energy and who you are having in your inner circle. Okay. Let's see. This resonates deeply. Saber complex, trying to learn from this right now. Yeah, it's a trauma response too, of like, I have a skill set. Let me leverage that so that I can receive love and have people around me. But like that's coming from a trauma behavioral pattern. If you want to have an equal energy exchange with somebody and help them, and they're taking in what you're saying and it's resonating with them, and then they do that for you, that's beautiful. Or if you're getting paid for it, because that's also a type of energy exchange, or y'all have something worked out where like I give you an Akashic record reading and you give me a Reiki session, that's an equal energy exchange. But if it's not equal, it will drain the life out of you. Like I've been there, done that. It is not fun. And it makes you get resentful against your business and what you do. Like, I'll just be very transparent. I've been there before where I've done like free, and I still do those things because I was in a place of life where I couldn't afford to hire a coach or get sessions. Like when I first started on my spiritual awakening journey, right? Like I still do that because I want to give back to the collective. But then on the other side of that, I had to learn a very hard lesson of giving too much and not taking care of self. And like, I try to save people from that if I can. Okay. Whoa. Making time for your guides, higher self in the Akashic field. Okay. So we talked about this in day one yesterday, where you can work in the ethers and bring things into you a lot faster because the frequency is not as dense as trying to do things on the 3D plane. Like you can make content all day long, right? And like grind it out and like make a gajillion videos and like it take forever for you to like launch. Or you can go into a meditation for 30 minutes and connect in through the Akashic field, kind of like Joe Dispenza and Abraham Hicks talks about. Set intentions before you make that one video of like exactly who you want it to reach, how you want them to feel, what you want them to get out of it. And you can ask to like, I would like to receive more clients from this. This is what I would like it to go out to the collective as. That is going to do way more for you than making 150 videos. And that's still something that I do now and still like have to remind myself, like if I sit down before I go live on TikTok or wherever and I set an intention of these are the type of people that I want to bring in, these are the messages that I would love to give, this is like I would love to talk to their higher self, and just like what do I want to happen and get out of it beforehand, completely different. If I forget to do that, it doesn't go as smoothly. But if you can learn to set aside time for your guides and higher self, they are your best teachers and mentors because it's different levels and facets of yourself. You also have like a whole higher self guide team from different incarnations that you can talk to, but they aren't just going to, it's like a friend. If you don't make time for them, you're not going to spend time with them. They're not going to like hang out with you, right? You've got to make time to go in meditation or go on a walk and connect with them and say like, hey, I'm feeling real stuck and stagnant right now. Can you give me some ideas or some new like creative ways of doing things? Or maybe, I want to work on my finances. Can you give me like some new outlets to go through? So like make time for them and they will help you. Too much fuzzy or too much content, fuzzy truths. So this is a trap that I have fallen in many times where I'm looking through the student lens instead of looking through the teacher lens. And I will just consume content from just spiritual talk, YouTube, other teachers. And then it starts to overlay on my own truths. And then I get very fuzzy on my messaging because I'm trying to speak from somebody else's belief system. And I'm not saying not to do that because like we can learn a lot from other people and their perspectives, but I know that we all know when we're doing too much. Like when you start getting like, I don't know what I believe, it's because you've taken way too much in. You need to go out in nature. Like I have to do this where I completely disconnect from social media altogether and listening to other people and just go out and find out my own truths. There are times where like I will listen to zero other spiritual teachers. Nobody. No Abraham Hicks, no Joe Dispenza, nobody. Okay. And I'll keep going back to them, but they're my favorites. Because even them, even them, I love what they have to say, but I have my own perspectives and ways of saying things. I have my own gifts. I have my own talents. I have my own experiences. And if I'm constantly consuming, it gets real blurry. And then all of a sudden I hit this stagnation point where I'm just like, I don't know what I believe anymore. And then I have to like complete it's a cycle that I don't want you to have to go through. So you have to kind of like check yourself and be like, am I listening to too many other people? Okay, I'm gonna check. Sometimes you just gotta disconnect. Okay. The equal energy exchange spoke volumes when you said that before, but you can't do free forever because people will expect it. Yes. Yes. And you have things to take care of in your life. Okay. Like I know that we, want to help everyone in the collective and help with the collective shift, but I'm just going to be very transparent and say this. Okay. You being a broke coach or a broke energy healer is not helping anybody because you are stressed and you are anxious and all of that is running in the background. And how do you think that that is overlaying on how you're showing up? If you are so stressed and anxious because you can't pay your bills and you're also coming from lack mentality, that projects onto people. Like if you're an abundant and prosperous and thriving coach or energy healer and you're not worried about money all the time and abundance, like you just are in a completely different energy field. And I'm not saying not to do free stuff because that's great. We love that. And I still do that. And a lot of other people do that, like big giant spiritual energy healers, right? Because they're always making YouTube content for people. But like there's a fine line between like helping the collective and being a detriment to self. Okay. This explains so much I've been going through. I've been having to spend a lot of time alone lately. Yeah, you got to come back to your homeostasis. So true. I've done that before with my actual business. Great reminder. Why are you not going up? Oh, maybe that's it. Okay. All right. There we go. Okay. Change out the lens of student to master. So this is one that I've been through a cycle I've been through and still go through sometimes. And it's you're watching content to learn and grow, but you're watching it in the lens of I need to learn more to be able to get started as a spiritual coach and an energy healer, which I'm not saying that we can't always learn and grow and learn from different perspectives, but you cannot be the student forever. Like eventually you have to become the master and then teach students underneath you, even though there's masters above you that you can learn and grow from. You cannot perpetually stay a student forever. And like if you're wanting to do this full time, you really have to lean into I have gifts and abilities and knowledge and wisdom that so many people could benefit from, and they're literally just waiting for me. And I think that we think, oh, well, there's all these other spiritual teachers that have been doing it for so long and they have all this knowledge and wisdom. Like, they're not the teacher and healer for those people. That's you. They are literally waiting for you because you have a very specific lens in which you're looking through life and have experienced life. And there's a whole assortment of people that need to hear it exactly from you and how you say it, not from somebody else. And I was speaking about this yesterday that, let's say like Tony Robbins and Oprah up here. Okay. Bill Gates, all these, or not Bill Gates, let's not. Oprah and Tony Robbins. Okay. Like I can watch content from them, but I may not be able to conceptualize what they're talking about because my consciousness level isn't up there yet. I need somebody that's closer to where I'm at. I need somebody that's a couple steps ahead of me because all those steps that they're like way, way far beyond where I'm at right now, like it's great to look at them, but I'm not going to tangibly understand what they're saying because I'm not at that level yet. And I'm not saying not to reach for more, like always reach for more, right? But that's why we resonate with people that are a couple steps ahead of us because it's more tangible and helps us get there. And then we can keep going and going and going and going. Like when I first started on my spiritual awakening journey, like the people I watched then, I don't watch now because it's like way far back. But I find people that are like a couple steps ahead of me and I can learn and grow and then move into the next stage. That's you. You are that person for somebody. You don't need to have all the answers. You have the answers you need. You have the knowledge, your wisdom to reach your hand back and say, I know how to get you to right here. And then we'll worry about the rest of the stuff later. Like, I'm just trying to get you here. And then when you pull that person here with you, you move to the next stage because you have already gotten yourself out of that stage. Now you're doing like a reflectatory period where you're like, oh yeah, I did clear that out. I am ready to move on to the next level. And then you just go to the next stage. And so that's how I have always like coached and healed people, and like not healed people, but like gone on that journey with people is I always end up talking to somebody that is a couple steps back from where I am at. And no like level or judgment or anything. It's just like where you're at on your healing journey. But they're always like a couple steps back from me. And I'm like, okay, let me get you here. And then it pushes me to the next stage. And then I get a whole new set of people that are on another level, if that makes sense. Okay. But I really challenge you next time you're watching somebody, and I know we were just talking about not watching as many people, but the next time you watch somebody, and I'll give you a tangible example. So I was watching this life coaching video because I was like, oh, I want to up-level my skills on life coaching. And I was watching it for me. And I was like, you know what? I'm not watching this for me anymore. I'm actually watching this to teach other people how to coach, not for my own skill set, even though I'm still learning from that. I was like, I'm taking this information in now so that I can apply it and teach somebody else how to coach, like what I'm doing right now for the masterclass. And it's like I changed up that lens and I was like, oh yeah, I am the master now. Now I can help other students become a master as well. So you got to change out your lens when you're watching things. So do that. Next time you're watching something, be like, I'm watching this to teach somebody else instead of just teaching me, and see how that rocks your paradigm. It really will. It will help you be so much more confident and have, more self-esteem in self, because you're like, oh yeah, I'm utilizing this to teach somebody else, my future potential clients. Okay. Healing yourself while healing others. The beautiful, beautiful, beautiful thing about energy healing and becoming a spiritual coach is that you heal yourself while you're healing people, because you're seeing things in a plethora of different perspectives. You learn things from your clients. It's not just them to you. You learn things from them, and you build like this big neural networking, right? And like you're just like constantly pushing yourself forward, becoming ever more self-aware, ever expanding your consciousness, healing yourself at the same time, because I guarantee you that like 99% of your clients that you work with, you need to hear exactly what you're telling them. Like, that's that practice what you preach from day one, like I was talking about. I am not going to say something to somebody unless I am doing it myself. And sometimes that's a check for my higher self and my guides, because they're like, you don't tell them something you're not doing yourself. And then if you're not doing it, then you need to start doing it. Like, it keeps you in check of yourself. Okay. Boundaries, not taking on others' shadow work. So this is the other side of this. Like when I first started giving Akashic record readings, I didn't have good boundaries, and I wasn't taking care of my physical body very well. And I was pushing my channeling too far for the level that I was at. And so I was and I didn't really understand like empaths and light workers and our abilities that well yet. And so I was taking on people's shadow work, because if you are becoming a coach and an energy healer, you're going real deep into people's energy body. Like, you're seeing some stuff that sometimes is super, super, super heavy stuff, right? Like it's a lot. And if you're not holding good boundaries of that's not my stuff, like it might be reminiscent of things that I have gone through, but that is not my stuff. I'm here as an observer. I'm not an absorber, because that is a huge lesson that I went through, where I was just like, oh, this person has abundance issues, or they have not issues, I don't call them issues, but abandonment things that they're working through, or they have like sexual abuse stuff that they're going through, like those really heavy things. It had me in my mind thinking, well, maybe I still have more stuff I need to heal on, or maybe I am also still having these issues. Like, and I'm not saying you don't, like maybe you do, but you can't take on double the amount of shadow work. Like, healing people is intense, because you're around so much like heavy, dense energy. Like, I have talked to people about some really horrific things, and it's very intense to sit there with somebody and feel it viscerally in your body. But that's part of our gift, is to be able to empathize and feel what somebody has been through, so we can speak to them on a level and help heal them, because we like viscerally understand how they feel, but you feel it inside of you. And so you have to become the observer and not the absorber, because that will be your undoing. I got super spiritually and physically sick from not holding good boundaries and absorbing people's stuff. And I had to take a long break from energy healing, because I didn't understand the dynamics of that. And I don't want somebody else to go through that. When you are sitting with somebody and they are telling you about some of their very, very heavy, deep trauma, you have to make sure that you tell your body, your energy body, we are observing this. This is not our shadow work. This is not our stuff. I am not absorbing this. We can still be empathetic and meet them on that level, but I am not taking that on as mine. Because I would go after a session and be like doing a whole self review of, oh, well, maybe this is me too. You can't do that. It is exhausting. Okay, I'm going to check the chat here. I know we're on a little chancer there. Oh, thank you, Lucy. Okay, well, for the enders, I have knowledge and wisdom that others need to hear. Absolutely. The visual of the hurt inner child is horrible. That's almost why I didn't want to go down the path of helping them. Yeah, it's super intense. Like, working with inner children that have experienced like some very heavy abuse and things, like it's really tense, especially if you have too, because then you have to like really be mindful when you're doing these things and not let your inner child get triggered, because I've had that happen where somebody has experienced something like super heavy as an inner child, and then I'm helping them process through that, but then all of a sudden my inner child comes up and starts to get triggered, and I have to like tell her, this is not our situation. I know that that's triggering for us to hear these things and to feel these things, and we can process that later. But what is happening right now is not our stuff. And I'm not going and I'm not going to let you subject yourself to extra shadow work. Okay. So like just be mindful when you're doing these things to hold good boundaries and be the observer. Well, deja vu, I saw that in my mind yesterday, seeing someone else's situation and feeling it. Yeah, this is exactly what happened to me working in behavioral health and it's a social work, intense trauma. Yeah, boundaries, boundaries, boundaries. Okay. Yes. Not your circus, not your monkey. Yeah, we can be the observer, not the absorber. Okay, so this is gonna this right here, diving deeper. I talked about a whole bunch of different things to like get to know yourself and your business on a deeper level of like the whys. And so this is going to be kind of like a recap of the first session. So it would make more sense if you watch day one and then look at this. Diving deeper, why am I doing this? So asking ourselves, like, why do I want to have a spiritual business? Why do I want to do this full time? Why do I want to help people? And if you just say, because I like helping people, that's not enough. It's not. Like, it will not fulfill you all the way through. You will burn out. You have to find the core root of why you want to help people. And you do it through this thing I call the 7 layers of clarity. And I explained a little bit more in the first one. And it's where you put like, why do I want to help people? And you get the first answer. And then you ask yourself again based on that answer. And then you ask yourself again and again and again, 7 times. And eventually you'll get to the root. Sometimes it's way different than what the first answer was. Way, 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 way different. Like and you have to do this periodically because you'll make shifts in your business and the whys kind of change a little bit, but the core usually stays the same. Like for me, like I if somebody asked me like a couple of years ago, I'd be like, oh, I just want to help people, but then I never did anything with it. But then when I started digging a little bit deeper, I was like, oh, I felt very abandoned as a child, and people telling me like magic isn't real and just talking down to me, and just there was a lot of underlying things, and that's why I help people. Like, because I don't want them to go through the same experiences that I did, but I had to do some deep dives to figure out what those experiences were, and that's the fuel. Because the fuel at the end of the day is I don't want somebody to go through what I did if I can save them from doing that. So you got to dive a little bit deeper. Why did I get into this story? This is a different lens for this. So the 7 layer of clarity is like, so you internally like know why you're doing something. I have people ask me all the time, like, why did you get into this? And my answer is a little bit different. Like I talk about like how I went through a lot of anxiety and depression, and I went through my spiritual awakening journey and like all these things, right? So what I suggest is for you to get out a piece of paper and write out, like if somebody was going to interview you, what you would say. And it gives you a different perspective on why you're doing it. Both are true, just different layers and different ways to look at it. So like write out, if somebody was like, hey, Sarah, why did you get into energy healing? And just write out like you were doing a newspaper or a blog interview. And it's very eye-opening. Because if you don't understand the why, it's very hard to keep motivated and keep focused. If you get the why, that's the fuel. Okay, who do I want to serve? We talked about how to figure out what your client avatar is. That's like who specifically that you want to help, because we can't help all 7 billion people on earth. Like I know we want to, and we kind of do, like helping, and I tell people like healing one person is healing the whole, okay? And I'm not saying you can only help like one specific person, because like I help a lot of different people with a lot of different things, but you kind of got to like bring it down a little bit. Like we got to help people with like a handful of things, because if you are helping with a million different things, you cannot hone your skills. If you're trying to help with everything in somebody's life, you're not really like specializing in something enough to help them make a huge forward movement, right? Like I love helping people with like ADHD and focus and determination, and healing their inner child and their higher self, and helping them expand their magical abilities and their spiritual gifts. Now that still sounds like a lot, but there's like a million other things that I don't help people with, because I don't have time and energy to help people with everything and become an expert in everything. You just only have so much time and energy. So your client avatar is, these are the general things that I would like to help people with. But I talk about that more day one. Okay, client avatar. Experience is the best teacher. If you're like, I want to do this full time, but I don't know what I would help people with, make a list of all the things that you have gone through and that you have healed through and that you have like cleared out, or like done a whole bunch of trauma shadow work on, and now you're a lot better. Make a list. That's what you teach people about, because experience is the best teacher. We all know when we're talking to somebody and they're trying to give us life advice, and you know they haven't been through that, they're just speaking objectively, but they haven't actually like viscerally lived through it. It's not going to hit you the same as somebody that has lived through that experience, and you know that they have. And so that's where like life coaching differs, or spiritual coaching differs a little bit from therapy, because therapists, and not dogging therapists, we love therapists, okay, but therapists tend to do like generalized healing with people. Life coaches and spiritual coaches, for the most part, specialize in very specific things that they have gone through. It's more experience based than like education based, but not dogging therapists. We love them. Okay. Make a list of what you've gone through. Okay, I'm going to pause for just a second so I can run to the restroom, because I drank a bunch of water before I got on here. So if everybody can just hold on for me 1 second, I will be right back. Thanks for pausing. Fun fact. When I used to give readings or like sessions or workshops or whatever, I drink a bunch of water, because it helps give me like mental clarity, and it's really good for your physical body, especially if you're a channeler. I would try and hold my bladder. This is like TMI, for like the duration of the session or workshop or whatever. And my higher self was like, why do you do that? Like, you're a human being. Like, you need to go take care of yourself. Like, stop putting people like ahead of yourself. Take care of yourself. So now I'm just like, y'all, I gotta go to the bathroom. Okay. Does anybody have any questions before we like move on? Okay. Yes. Also a great tip. Take care of you. All right. That's also a good way to like cleanse your energy field too, is like drink water, like with the intention of clearing your energy field. Okay. So we're moving into jump starting your business, and we should be done by 12:15 EST. Okay. Jump starting your business. This is something, let me check this really quick. Yes, any energy work needs a lot of water. So much water. So much water. Okay. Well, this is something that has helped me immensely. So when I started making content and started on this journey, I was so petrified to talk in front of people. Like, if you had told me I'm doing what I'm doing, I would be doing what I'm doing right this second, like 10 years ago, I'd be like, ain't no way. Okay. And I would have like so much fear around hosting classes or workshops or like whatever, because I'm like, well, what if I don't have enough? What if like I stumble over my words? What if I look like I don't want to say that, but like, like an idiot, you know what I mean? Or people see that like I'm a facade, like I don't really know what I'm talking about or whatever, right? Like all that nonsense. Okay. If you hold a class or a workshop and you put a date and time on it, you show up and you figure it out. Like that has been the one thing that has really like launched me, is to publicly tell people because if I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. Like that's just part of my persona, my personality. Like if I say I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it. Like I'm if I say it, I do it. Okay. And so I would force myself to show up. I would say, hey y'all, that was very Southern. I'm going to I'm going to put a class together and talk about confidence. This is the day, this is the time. And then it would be very gut wrenching because, like, in the background, I'd be like, oh, I really don't want to do this, but I told people, so I'm going to do it. And the funny thing about doing that is it kicks your butt in gear. Like, your brain, if you put especially if you have ADHD, if you put a date and time on something, your brain will kick it into high gear, and the universe and your higher self and your guides will start bringing you like a plethora of information and downloads to prep you to get ready. Like my friend Tracy and I, we're like, what is something that we want to learn about? And we said, we want to learn more about how to heal shame and guilt, because that's something that we needed healing with. And my friend was like, why don't we host a workshop? And I was like, I don't know if I know about it. I don't know if I know enough to teach people. And so we set it out for 3 weeks and we told everybody about it, and it kicked our butt into high gear. And then all of a sudden the universe started smacking us in the face with shame and guilt, shadow work stuff that we needed to work through. So we had actual like life experience things to teach about. But like I started seeing on my YouTube algorithm and on TikTok algorithm, like all this stuff about shame and guilt healing. And then I found all these teachers and I started talking and like listening, and all of a sudden like we had a ton of content to like talk to people about, right? But you have to do it. Okay, if you tell people you're going to be there and you show up, it's a way to almost force yourself to show up. I was in a coaching seminar when I first started out, and one of the coaches was like, you need to be doing Facebook lives every week and just tell people and force yourself to show up. And then you get used to it. And then you're like, wow, I am a really accountable person. And you know what? I am holding a great container space for people, and they appreciate that. And by me showing up, it's teaching them that they need to show up. Like me showing up right now, for anybody in here that's like, oh, that sounds really scary, like you can do it. You can do it, but you have to show up. So put dates and times on things, and it'll kick your butt in gear. Okay. It also helps you get better at communication. Like so much, like you will not get better at communication unless you put yourself in situations to get better at communication. Like that's one of the reasons that I love doing TikTok lives. I know that sounds very scary for some people, like very, very, very intimidating, because there's like people's perceptions and it's like very kind of like chaotic energy because there's like so many people coming in and out. It will make you very quick on your feet and thinking. Like, and it teaches you how to manage a lot of different energies in a space. It makes you become a better energy healer because you're having to read like so many different energy signatures and learn like not to worry about people's perceptions and not let trolls bother you. Like that is a real way to fast track your communicative skills. And when you teach workshops and classes, it teaches you how to hone your leadership skills as well, and how to be quick with it. Yes. Okay. I'm gonna take a pause before I move on to the next one, because that's a big one. Okay. I always tell people, what's the worst thing that's going to happen? Nothing. Yes. You fall on your face. You look like a fool. Okay. Keep it pushing. Nobody cares. Literally nobody cares. The people who hate on you and say like, oh my God, you look so stupid, they're not doing these things. Like I talked about that in day one. Like y'all can go back and watch that, about how I got dragged on Reddit. Like there's all these groups that were like gunning for me on Reddit. And then I go and find out like none of them are making content or doing the things that I was doing. And like I built this whole thing up in my head about like, oh, well, you know, all these experts are going to be like, she doesn't know what she's talking about, all this stuff. No, it's not. It's just people who make a living or have unhealed things within themselves that are trying to drag you, and you don't even know those people. Like, you don't even know them. And the people that do love and support you and enjoy what you're saying and are learning from you, like, far outweigh whatever fear-based perceptions you have of yourself, or like the what ifs happening. Okay. Hey, Kate, I'm glad you can make it. Like, people are in their own reality bubbles. They do not care what you're doing. Like, they literally don't care. Like, just how you're very self-aware and you're constantly thinking about like how to optimize your life and the things you say and the things you do. That's what other people are doing too. And the people that don't do that and aren't self-aware, they don't make their own energy, and they're trying to take energy from you. So like, why do you care what they have to say? Like, it's fine. And if you think that you're going to make a mistake, I've made a million mistakes, but I would rather make the mistake and learn from it and grow from it than not do it all, because then you have regret, and regret is like way worse than falling on your face. And some people are like, oh, well, and this would be too, what if I say something wrong? Okay, then that's a growth for you. And like, I've said things that I wouldn't say anymore. I would never say the things that I used to say, ever, ever, ever. But at the time, that's where my consciousness level was at, and that's what I believed. But now looking back on it, and like, no hate to younger Brittany, but like, I learned and I grew, and you just keep moving. Right? Everybody makes mistakes and everybody falls on their face. Like, that's life. Okay. So this is what really launched my coaching business. I had been giving individual sessions with people, which a lot of us in here are doing, as far as like doing, you know, readings, or, you know, whatever it is you do. And I was like, I don't know if I can become a coach. Like, I don't know if I have enough to give people. Like, I don't know if I can help somebody for 6 weeks, 8 weeks, 3 weeks, 6 months, like whatever. Like, I don't think that I'm at that level. Okay. On the flip side of that, I have found that, you know, and this is not saying this is for everybody. Most of the time, people who are doing one sessions with people is not financially sustainable. It's just not. It's like a roller coaster ride that you're on. It's like, you never know when you're getting sessions. They just come in like very sporadically. And some people do make a living from that. Okay. But from what I've seen, from the most part, like, it's just not as financially sustainable as doing like coaching long term with people. And coaching long term with people is a different fulfillment, because I can have a session with somebody, and I love that, and I still do one-on-one sessions with people. I do that with people, and it's great, but then they're gone, and I don't see the tangible results on the other side all the time. Like, I just send them off, and then they're gone, and then I don't see like how what I said impacted them. But if I have coaching clients that I'm working with, like now I switched from 8 weeks to now I'm doing 3 months, like 3-month minimum, because I can see the tangible results every single week. Also, if I said something to them that didn't really work for them, I can tweak it. And then I'm fine honing my skills. It's like I'm growth tracking them, and I'm growth tracking me, and they're growth tracking themselves. And like, we have much more like tangible goal time and more to work on, and we can dive deeper, and like we both grow at an immense rate doing this. And it's way more financially sustainable to do that, because then it's like a guaranteed, oh, I'm working with this person for 6, 8, 3 months, 6 months, whatever, right? But the crux of that is, when I switched over, I was like, I can't do that. I don't have enough to help people with. And it was this huge fear, and I put it off forever. And my guides were like, what are you going to do here? We're just going to keep on doing stuff that hasn't worked for us. So I was in this Facebook group, okay? And I reached out to 2 people that like I knew, not like super well, but I knew, and I liked their energy. One of them, like, one of them was just more in their human life experience, like 3D. And the other person was like very high dimensional, like in the ethers already. right? And I said, hey, would both of you be up to me coaching you for 6 weeks for free? I said, I don't, there is no strings attached. I want to up level my coaching abilities. Like I was very upfront and told them, like, I want to switch to being a coach long term, not long term coach, but y'all know, coach. Can I coach you for free for 6 weeks? And they kind of already knew me and like trusted my energy, right? They both had individual sessions with me too. And they were like, yeah, absolutely. I would love to do that. And after the first session with both of them, I was like, I could have been doing this. Like I wrote a whole program for them of all the things that we were going to go over and all the things that I was going to help them with and all the goals that they would obtain. And that fear was the only thing that was holding me back. And I had to prove it to myself that I was capable. After that, I had zero issues getting clients long term. Like because I knew I could do it. But that fear was just like eating away at me. And it will consume you if you let it. You have to prove to yourself, I can do it. Okay, and I coached them for 6 weeks for free. Like, and it was great. And I loved every minute of it. And they had huge effective changes in their life. It made huge effective changes in me, but I had to take that leap of faith on myself and my abilities and my capabilities. That's where I'm at now, but I'm still in student mode. Long term is more like a mentorship. Yeah, it is like a mentorship. But then you add like it's like a mentorship, but you're energy healing them, right? Like you're diving in like super deep with them. And then you can get a better scope of their life as a whole instead of just like helping them with like one snapshot of their life. Like if you're helping them with like generational trauma, okay, like a snapshot. But if you're doing like longer term, you can help them with like so many different other areas of their life and like correlate things for them and like show them the patterns and work through the patterns and like longer term effective change, right? Okay. That's me. I need to do free coaching thing. I'm taking my sweet time. I took my sweet time and I was like, and I'm not gonna say this, but I won't say it, but I took so long to make that jump, and then I started to regret that I hadn't done it sooner because I was like, wow, I could be like so much further if I had just done it. But now looking back, I can be like, no, it worked out like how it was supposed to work out. But you can't be the student forever. Like you cannot be the student forever. But I don't regret it because it just was what it was. I just a learning curve. I'm glad you're enjoying the course. Okay, cool. Oh, thank you, Lori. Okay. And hey, Lori, I'm glad to have you in here. Okay. Mentors without comparing. All right. So you have to have somebody that you look up to. You have to have somebody that is further ahead than you. You have to, because otherwise you will stay stuck and stagnant in where you're at. This is kind of going back to like what we're talking about, like who you surround yourself with. If you do not have the financial wherewithal to hire a coach right now to help you build your practice in your business, I get it, because I didn't either. Everything that I have figured out and learned and did was by myself. It was my own willpower and thousands of hours worth of research. Like that's why I put this masterclass together to hopefully like save you a lot of time and energy. And like that's fine. It's, are you going to dedicate your time and energy to doing this? Or if you have the finances, you can get somebody to help you figure all this stuff out. But how much time and energy are you going to sacrifice? Because I'll tell you that like I have spent like the last 3 years not going out and partying, like spending almost all of my free time dedicated to my business. And not saying let it overwhelm you, but like I like this is what I do. But now I have reached and I'm a full circle back to mentors, but I have reached a financial level where I can hire a coach to help me see my blind spots to help me up level in my business. That's going to give me more time and energy. I have spent enough time and energy doing things by myself. I don't want to do that anymore. And now I have the option to hire somebody to help me. The mentors without comparing, this is what I'm coming back to. I found spiritual coaches and teachers and life coaches to follow on YouTube and Facebook and TikTok and all the stuff. And I would just like consume as much as I could without comparing myself, because that's the trap that I used to get into was, well, they're doing this and they're successful, so I got to do it like that. If you cannot afford to hire a life coach to help you right now, find you somebody to emulate, but make sure that you're doing it through your own lens of like, yeah, that makes sense. Like all of those logistics and analytics and how they're making content and all the tips that they're giving me. But if you start trying to copycat somebody else, it's not going to work for you. It's just simply not, because you're meant to do something your own way. And I have spent so much time and energy in the past trying to do something exactly like somebody else has done and just waste a bunch of time and energy and then get mad at myself because I tried to do something somebody else was doing exactly how they're supposed to do it, or they're doing it. Compare, or not compare, observe, do not compare. Okay. Also, when you're looking at like Tony Robbins and Oprah and all these like big spiritual coaches and leaders and all this stuff, like you didn't see the journey that they went on. They went on the same journey that you're on right now, but you don't see that. So you're like, what? Well, they're, obviously I'm doing something wrong because I'm not where they're at. You didn't see the struggle. Okay. You just didn't see that. Like you didn't see Tony Robbins when he talks about like out where he had like 10 cents in his pocket and he's knocking on people's door trying to get life coaching clients and like all that stuff and being homeless and everything. Like you didn't see that. You just see him making a gajillion dollars helping like stadiums full of people. Right. So like find people to, look up to, but don't compare yourself to them. Okay. I want you to be my coach and I will bill my insurance company. Do it. And another thing too, I used to like get mad at my spirit guides and my higher self because I'd be like, why do you want me to help people? And yet I have to, you're not giving me the finances. And that's lack mentality. That's like a whole other thing, right? But I was like, why are you not giving me the money to help me hire somebody to do these things? And just to be very transparent, I see a lot of energy healers and coaches and spiritual people that use fear marketing and fear tactics on people and like psychology stuff, even if they're unconscious of it, to like get people to get their services. And my higher self and guides were like, you are teaching yourself how to teach other people, like what we're doing right here, without having to use fear tactics, because that's not what we're trying to do anymore. Like you need to mentor people on how not to use fear tactics and fear mongering. And so like I recently had that realization of like, oh, I was meant to figure out all this stuff on my own, and maybe that's where you're at right now. So I don't want you to like, and we'll get into this again. I had this life coach one time that I did a discovery call with, and she was like, you will not be successful unless you hire somebody else. Like she drug me. And I needed that. I needed that to kick my butt in gear. Like it was a whole thing. We'll get into that later. But that's just simply not true. Now, do I wish I could have paid somebody during that time to help me? Probably, because it's been a long road. But like now I can. But I had to learn how to do it without fear mongering and fear mentality, so I could teach other people how you don't have to do that. And if I had gone and hired a coach, I could have fallen into that trap and become a copycat coach on how to use fear tactics. And ain't nobody want to deal with that or whatever. So maybe you're in that phase. So I don't want you to think like, oh, I have to hire somebody to help me. No, you don't. It may take you some extra time and energy to figure these things out, but you can do it. You can do it. Okay. Some people just don't have the time and energy. And if you can pay for somebody to do it, great. Like me now, I'm at a point where I'm just like, I want more free time. Okay. Just because someone is more advanced doesn't mean that they're the right teacher for you. Use your discernment. I have looked up to a lot of people that say really great things, and then they say some things, and I'm just like, I don't know about that. And that's like nothing against them, because everybody has their own beliefs and truths, and like 99% of what they say is great. But then there's other times where I'm just like, I don't know about that. Or sometimes somebody will be like a really big spiritual teacher or mentor, and then they'll just say something like wild out of pocket. And I'm just like, just because you have like 5 million followers or whatever, I don't know if I should be listening to you. Okay. So don't take somebody that's more quote unquote advanced than you and has more followers and has like a community or whatever. That doesn't mean that you need to be watching them. Okay. There's a big spiritual, I won't get like super into this, but there's this big spiritual person that's going through a lot of like, is this a cult? Okay. And they have a very big following, but like it's being shown in the spiritual community right now. Like you have to use discernment and your intuition when you're listening to somebody, especially when you're listening as a student to somebody who's a master. Like make sure that you're asking yourself, does this resonate with me, or am I listening to them because they have a big following in a big community? Okay, don't be a sheep. Be a leader. Okay, be a shepherd. Don't put people on pedestals. Yeah, I used to do that. Oh my God, I used to do that all the time, where I would be like, oh, this person is like this big energy healer or whatever. And like, you're doing yourself such a disservice. Like, you have incarnated like many times over as your own healer with your own gifts and abilities. And maybe like your confidence and your self-esteem aren't on the same level as that person. But that doesn't detract from all that you have and all your knowledge and all your wisdom. They've just been doing it for a little bit longer and like show up differently on social media and stuff. That makes sense? Okay. We're meant to follow our own paths and not force opinions. Yep. Okay. You got to put yourself out there for people to find you. If you're not there, okay, there's two ways to do this. I know some people who are not on social media, like they don't really do social media, and they're successful coaches or energy healers, right? But that's like a whole nother dynamic of having to like really find your clientele in like very different ways. If you're trying to come at this as a content creator, and like that's how you're reaching people, like you want to be more of like a remote teacher or a remote healer, where you're not like going out in like the 3D paradigm world finding people. People cannot find you unless you are out there. Like, they're not just going to fall on your website. You have to make content, you have to make videos, you have to be like in some type of community where you're connecting with people. But like, people don't just like come to you. And that's it. And when you get further into like etheric work, you can start pulling people in, but it's like you have to take inspired action and then follow that up with the flow of letting the universe bring people to you. But you have to show up for them to come to you. And so like when I was doing my Akashic record readings and getting that out of the universe, and just be like, well, I'm putting that I do readings out there and stuff, but I wasn't putting myself out there. And as soon as I started doing that, everything started flowing in, because I was doing the inspired action and showing up. But you got to put yourself out there to be seen. If social media is not your game and not your thing, though, there's other ways, but that's not what this masterclass is. This is geared more towards like content creation. Okay, what matters most is how you see yourself. Falling in love with your voice and your body. So let me see what the next one is. Before I started making content, let me see what time it is. Before I started making content, I don't even like using this word, but I'm gonna use it. I used to hate the way that I looked. Like, I had very intense body dysmorphia. Like, it has been a journey for me to heal that. And I also hated the way that I sounded. And that was one of my biggest hindrances to making content, because I would just like self criticize constantly. And when I started making videos, like it was a lot. It was a lot of crying and picking myself apart, and it was just a journey. Okay. So the only way that you're going to get through that is to put yourself in situations where you get used to the way you sound and used to the way you look. And so before I even started making content, I was like, okay, what can I do to fall in love with my voice? I started voice noting every single person in my life instead of texting. A lot of you in here know that I like to voice note because, excuse me, because I would listen back to every single one. I listened back to every single voice note I sent for like 6 months. And by the time I did that, my voice that was on the phone synced up with the voice that was in my head, because that's very jarring. If you're not used to hearing your own voice, what you sound like on like an answering machine or like in a voice memo sounds way different. And so that's the jarring part. But when you do that and you listen back to it, it becomes very easy, because you're like, oh yeah, that's what I sound like. And the only way I got through how I looked on camera is to watch myself back. Now, you can make content and not watch yourself back. That's not going to heal it. I would force myself to watch my videos back over and over and over again. It also helped me become more confident and self-assured, because I could see where I was being like so nervous in the camera, and it allowed me to like relax, because I was kind of like reviewing myself outside of myself, and not to like micromanage and say you need to pretend to like be some type of way, but it was like, why are you being so like shaky and nervous? Like, it's okay to relax. And there was a time where I couldn't make content that was more than 15 or 20 seconds, and my voice would be shaking and I would be like, oh, right. I would watch those back over and over and over again. And it was awful. Okay, I'm just gonna be very like transparent. It was not fun. But eventually I got to a point where it's like, you know what? I really love these things about myself that are different from other people. Like, I love like my features, you start falling in love with them. Like, you see them so much over and over and over again in your voice over and over and over again, that you're just like, I am really beautiful and I really love my quirky mannerisms and I love these things, right? Like, I used to be so self-conscious about using my hands all the time in videos and stuff, and like just talking in general. And then the more you watch it back, you just get used to it. And you're like, oh, I actually do love that about myself. I'm very animated. But those are two things that really helped me. So if that's something that you're struggling with, like, that is a journey that you can take that will help you heal those things. Okay. Yes. Sing yourself love songs in the mirror. I love that. That is so sweet. That's a beautiful piece of advice. Thank you, Lori. And singing like raises your vibration, your frequency. That's great. Okay. Facing fear and doing it anyway. There, you really have to become the type of person, like, if you're gonna do this and go this route, where you're just like, yeah, I feel nauseous. Because I'll be honest with you, like, before I do anything like classes or lives or whatever, I've been doing it for like a hot minute now, I still get nauseous and want to throw up and be like, oh, maybe I shouldn't do this, I don't want to do this, why did I decide to do this? Like, I still feel those things, but I'm just used to the feeling now, and I'm just like, okay, well, I feel this every time, like, whatever, I'm just going to do it anyway. You really have to have a I am just going to do it anyway type of attitude, because those fears always come up. I have been doing this for like almost 4 years now, and the same fears always come up. Like, it doesn't matter how much practice I've had or how many times I've done it, I still have those fears. And I just say, well, if I'm going to feel that way anyway, just do it. And then after I do it, I'm always like, I'm really glad I did that. Like, even yesterday when I taught the day one class, I got on the phone with my friend and I was like, I could have done like a whole bunch of stuff differently, and like talk differently and not so fast, and like there's all these different other ways that I could have done things. But instead of berating myself now, I'm just like, yeah, it is what it is. Now we know. Keep it moving. And today is different than day one because I didn't judge myself and say like, oh, you should have done this and you did that and blah, 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 blah. I just say, okay, well, now we know. Move on to the next. Okay. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Oh, treat fear as excitement. Oh, that's a good piece of advice. I'm gonna try that next time where I'm just like, oh, it's not fear, it's excitement. Okay. Jump starting. Okay, partner up with other healers and coaches. So this has been something that has been great for me and other people, is to do lives and workshops and classes with other teachers and healers. Like, one, it helps your nerves because you have somebody else to like talk to and bounce off of. It's one thing for me to be talking to y'all right now because I've done this a lot of times where I'm just doing like static, just me talking. But like when I first started out, I would partner up with other teachers and healers because then it's like I'm having a conversation with someone instead of it just being me and the camera. So that's why I started my podcast, Soul Sessions, and I would interview people because it was a way for me to work on my communication skills, but also learn from somebody else's perspective. And then it was just easier to just work on my communication skills that way. And it was more fun. It's more fun than just kind of like doing things by yourself all the time. And plus it gives you good opportunities. Like maybe you meet another energy healer, like with Ray, y'all know Ray, right? Good Day with Ray. Like I met her via TikTok, and then we ended up doing a whole bunch of things together, and we partnered up, and like beautiful relationship. And I love her so much. And I've done that with like some of y'all know Maisie and like a lot of other people that I've become like really close friends with because we partnered up that way. And it makes it easier, and then we can have new innovative creative ideas. Like, don't be afraid to reach out and ask somebody to do something with you, because a lot of times people love doing that. Like I had somebody reach out to me the other day. There was a pet psychic on TikTok, and she was like, hey, would you be up to letting me read your pets, and it's going to help her reach more people. I get my pets read, right? Like I was like, yeah, of course I would love that. But some people would be too afraid to reach out and ask. Reach out and ask. Like I've had tons of people be like, hey, can I interview you? Can we do something together? Right? And then we put something together and it's great. Like, don't let those fears get you. Okay, say no to things that are not in alignment. I have had so many opportunities come my way. And when you're first starting out, your initial jump is this could really help me in my business, and this sounds like a great opportunity, but we don't take a minute to like reflect and ask ourselves if it's like really in alignment. And I have like jumped on projects or doing things with people before really taking like a good review and just saying yes immediately, because I was like working on my self-worth and people pleasing and just being like, well, if I don't take this opportunity, then there's not going to be another one. And that is very much lack mentality and lack. And then you get yourself wrapped up and involved in things that you end up resenting, or people that you shouldn't be working with. So we really need to, when these opportunities come your way, because they will, you'll be like, hey, you want to do something with me? You want to work with me? And there's nothing against people, but not everything in people aren't in alignment with you. So like take a pause, say, I'll come back to that, and do a review and say, is this in alignment with me and what I'm trying to do? Okay, because I have been there, done that, and it is not fun. Finding an accountability partner is so important. If you aren't hiring a coach or somebody to help you, getting with a friend that will keep you accountable and say like, where are you at? What are you doing? Are you taking care of yourself? That's my friend Tracy. She is my accountability partner. She can tell when I start not taking care of myself, or when I'm doing too much, or like if I'm not working on my goals. She'll be like, where are you at with this? And she'll tell me what's up. Like she will tell me on the real, like, Brittany, you need to do this, or you need to stop doing that, or you're not or you're taking yourself for granted, or you're not living up to your worth. Like, keep you in check. Because if it's just you out here, you cannot see what's keeping you back. You cannot see always like your self-limiting beliefs or your behavioral patterns. or you can't see like things that are blocking you. Like you really need somebody that is having an outsider view of what is going on in here, but you need an accountability partner that is worthy of being inside of your inner circle. Like you need somebody that you can be completely vulnerable with and trust to keep you in check and tell and not be a yes man and tell you what's up. Okay, like find you somebody that you can do that with and it will completely change your life. Like I had a conversation with her last night where I was like, I'm not trying to coach you right now, but I need like let's dig into this, okay? Because I want to see you thrive and excel. And she does the same thing for me. If I'm being like, I don't want to talk about my emotional state, Aquarius, okay, she'll be like, we're gonna dig into it whether you want to or not, and just force me to do it because I need to instead of like not doing that. It is life changing. Okay. That would be hard to hear. I hate authority and I'd want to fight. Well, it's a little bit different. Like if I went to somebody else and I asked that kind of like information from them, I also have some things with authority and I'd be like, I don't want to hear that. Okay. With her, it's different because we have built like this really long relationship with one another. So I know what her intentions are underneath that. And I know that she understands me on like a very deep capacity and she understands my cycles and behavior. You know what I mean? Like we have a different level of understanding. And so when she says things like that, I know it's because she can see what I can't see and how it's hurting me. And that she really does want me to heal and loves me. Right. So, like, that's what I mean. It's different than just having a mentor. And some people won't ask either. And if they're your soul family, sometimes they see what you need. Absolutely. Absolutely. You can't always see. So you need people to check you. Okay. Be mindful of who you share things with. This is another thing. Like you don't need to be vulnerable with everybody. Not everybody, and I don't want to say this is like a fear mongering thing, but not everybody has your best interest at heart. And some people really do like come from their own projections and want to like tear you down. Or like I have told when I first started out, and I have to check myself now too, like when I have something big that I'm working on, like a dream or a vision or a project, and I tell somebody and they have their doubts and fears within them, it comes back at me and then I start doubting myself. Because there's people, like I said before, that you talk to that don't care how you're going to make it happen. They just know you will and say like, oh, that's great. I'm so happy for you. What can I do to help you? And then there's other people that are like, how are you going to do that? And that is like, it will suck the life out of your projects. Because then you start going down the self-doubt, like, oh, well, maybe I shouldn't be doing this. Like, be mindful of who you share your dreams and visions and goals with. Like, you don't have to go out and tell everybody. Some things are for up here and for your inner circle people. Like, I've told things to people before, and then like I ended up not doing them because I let their fear and projections override what I'm trying to do. For no reason. They're not even doing it. They wouldn't do it. They wouldn't hold a class. They wouldn't hold a workshop. They're not living my life. And so like, why am I taking advice from somebody that's not doing what I'm doing? Does that make sense? Okay. Yes. And if they say no, you can't say, well, when you're ready, uplifting and cheer squad. Yes. And there's been times, oh, hold on. I went too far. Go back. Okay, everybody pause for 1 second. Okay, well, that was the end of the slide, but hold on, let me get back into it. There have been times where I have had friends of mine that are like coaches, spiritual, healers, like whatever, and they have told me about projects that they're going to get involved in. And then I start asking them questions about it, and I start going like real deep in with them and saying like, okay, well, tell me about it. Tell me all the ins and outs, all the pros and cons, everything. And then when they're talking about it, I'm like, I'll be real honest with you. This sounds like something that you're doing based out of fear, or this sounds like the people that you're trying to do this with are not in your best interest or in alignment. And this is what I mean, that it's very important to find people that will tell you like it is and tell you the truth. Because I have had times where I have saved people, not saved people, but I have shown them like the truth of something and said, like, this person's treating you like shit. And they're expecting you to do all the work. And this is very out of misalignment. Why are you doing this? And they'll say, oh, well, if I don't do it, then I'm going to miss this opportunity, or I'm going to make money doing this or whatever. And they end up not doing it. And they're like, thank God I didn't do that. And vice versa. I've had that happen to me where like I had an opportunity come up the other day where something where I could make a lot of money, like a lot of money. And I told one of my like accountability partner inner circle people about it. And they're like, you should not do that, because they know the dynamics that I have with that person. And they're like, why do you think that'd be a good idea? Like, you already have things going on with that person. Like, why are you doing that? And then I did like a deep review, and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm doing it out of fear, and because, like I can make money doing it. And like, if I hadn't have talked to them about it, I wouldn't have seen the blind spots. I would have gotten myself wrapped up and involved in something that would have been very disastrous for my energy and my mental health. Like, I'll just be real honest with you. And if I hadn't have said something and been vulnerable and said like, hey, I need you to help me with this. I need you to look at this. What do you think about this? Now, if I had told somebody else, like that didn't have that type of information, they'd be like, oh yeah, that sounds great. That sounds like you could make a lot of money and it'd be great and do it, like whatever. That's why you need to have people that are in your inner circle that like really understand you and your dynamics, but you also have to be very vulnerable with them so they really understand you at a deep level. There she is. I didn't know you were in here. There she is. Yep. My friend Kimberly was like, don't do that. And when I look back after what she said, I was like, I'm so eternally grateful that I did not do that, because it would have caused so much chaos and havoc in my life. But I wasn't seeing. And so that's why it's important to have these accountability partners and people that in your circle that get you and understands you and have your best interests at heart. It is life-changing, because I could have gone down like a timeline that was not optimal. Okay. I'm going to go back up. And thank you, Kimberly. I appreciate you. Okay. We all need the truth. We do need the truth. We need the truth. Sometimes the ADHD causes hyperfocus and we don't see the whole thing. That's what happened to me. That's exactly what happened. I got on an ADHD hyperfocusing and I was like, ooh, something shiny that we can move towards. But I didn't really take enough time to review, is this going to be good for me? This is kind of like what I talked about before, when you're like partnering up and things are not in alignment, but you're taking it as an opportunity because you're afraid that there's not going to be another one. It can cause a lot of havoc in your life if you make fear-based decisions like that. You got to take a moment, pull back, and look at things. Yes, like Carrie said, it's good to see things from other people's perspectives. Absolutely. Like with that whole thing, that opportunity, that's why I reached out to Kimberly, because I was like, hey, can I tell you about this so you can see the things that I'm not seeing, and like, what are your perspectives, right? And I asked my friend Tracy too. Like, I asked multiple people like, hey, this is what's going on, this is the opportunity, what do you think about this? Like my friend Tracy and Kimberly, like, what do y'all think about this? And they both are like, but I didn't see it. Okay. So does anybody have any questions? That's going to be, I know it's a little over right now, and it's 12:22, but that's going to be it for day 2. Tomorrow, we're going to talk about money magic. So we're going to talk about abundance and prosperity and the law of attraction and how to like not project your own money stuff onto your clients and things of that nature. So if anybody has any questions, let me know. I'll take a pause. And if not, then we'll wrap up. What would be really beneficial for me for feedback, if y'all don't mind, is what stuck out to y'all the most? Like what is one thing that like you really needed to hear today? Because that would help me like with the next class that I teach. Like to dive more into that. Okay, that's nice. Love great friends and accountability partners. Cool. Yes, the just do it message. If you can really live from I'm just going to do it anyway, then like really fear becomes not obsolete, because you still experience it. Like I still experience fear, but like my higher self overrides my ego. Like my higher self would just be like, yeah, I know you're scared, but we're just going to do it anyway. Take the first step. Let me go back up. Take the first step, just do it, override the fears. That everyone has the same fears as you do. Yep, they do. Everybody is in their own reality bubble. The whole show up portion, that was very beneficial. Cool. All of the accountability info was great. All of it is great. Cool. Don't let fears deter you from growing. Find those you trust and can help you grow. Learn from others, but remember to learn from self. And Spirit Squad. I love that. Spirit Squad. I'm going to use that from now on. Spirit Squad. Okay. As far as getting started, I think you're doing amazing. Sometimes we need to offer tools and not solutions. Absolutely. Yep. You're always growing and evolving. It's okay that you're not a master at something. Absolutely. Yep. You don't have to be the all-knowing expert. There's always going to be somebody up here. There's always going to be somebody back here. You just ride that wave all the way through. And like just with all these like high level people that you see, Tony Robbins, Oprah, like all those people, they have somebody that's further ahead than them. You just don't see those people because you're like, oh no, Oprah and Tony are like at the top. No, they have people that are above them. You just don't see them, right? You have the knowledge someone needs. Yep. Honestly, all of it's kind of kicking the butt just to do it. Like I said, I know what I need to do. I just need to do it. Yep, you just got to do it. Falling in love with your own voice and your own body were great points. Cool. Okay. That's what I call my guides, higher self, ancestors, spirit squad. I love it. Observer, not absorber. Yeah, that's so important. That's like, if y'all don't watch anything else with these, watch day 1 when I post them, because that's literally like the most important, like website, email, all that stuff we're going to get into, like money, like what it looks like to be a full-time coach. None of that stuff matters if you are not getting down the energetics of what it means to be a full-time spiritual coach, energy healer. Like it literally doesn't matter. If you are absorbing people's stuff and letting that overwhelm you and take you down and make you physically and spiritually sick, which I have been through that cycle numerous times, none of that stuff matters. Like foundational stuff. Okay. I don't feel ready to fully start yet, but I love that you made the Facebook page, because that's my safe space to practice for me. Yeah, you have to take your time too. Like this is not me saying that you need to do this overnight. And I talk about that in day 1, saying like, it's a process. It's a journey. If you are doing this part-time, this is just to prep you with things that are coming. Like these are all lessons that I've been through in cycles. This is not saying you all need to figure it out right now. You all need to experience this right now. This is like, these are all the things that I've been through and figured out, so that when they come your way, you have a better understanding of how to handle it. Like when we get into logistics and I start talking about email marketing and your website and like all this stuff, that's just to give you a preview context. Doesn't mean you have to do it right now. Because it took me 3 years to get to where I'm at right now. Do not put the pressure on yourself to like, I have to take everything Brittany said and get this done in 3 weeks. 3 years. And I'm not saying it'll take you that long because that's what I'm here for now, to give you all this information at once so you don't have to take 3 years. Maybe it takes you 6 months. Maybe it takes you a year, but it doesn't have to be done in 2 weeks. Okay. Choosing when to listen to others and sticking to your own experience. That was great. Put a date on it. Put a date on it. Thank you so much for this. Oh, you're very welcome. I literally always bring my notebooks to your Zooms and lives with you, Brittany. I love that, Lori. Thank you. Thank you for offering your classes and your time and energy. Thank you. I appreciate you too. Thank you. I'm very appreciative of everybody that's here because we're what's making this collective shift happening. Like I'm offering this because there are so many people that are about to wake up, and all of you that are here with me right now are going to help everybody that is waking up. We are the ones that are pushing the collective shift, and a lot of other people. I'm not just saying the people that are here, but people that are on this wavelength of like, I really do want to help everybody transmute and heal and move forward, and all us move into this new like unity consciousness and higher levels of frequency and living. Like, I appreciate everybody that's here because y'all are taking your time and energy to learn these things, to better yourself and be more aware and like move it on quicker. Right. So thank you. You're doing just as much as I'm doing by being here. So I appreciate you. Okay. All right, everybody. Well, I will see you for day 3 tomorrow. We're going to talk about money. I am recording all of these, and so I'll have the replays up after we get through all the 5 days. Yeah, okay. All right, everybody. Thank you again. I hope you have a very lovely day, and I'll see some of you tomorrow at 11 a.m. EST, same Zoom information. Bye.